Unlike instruments such as the flute or oboe or clarinet, the trumpet is able to adjust the timbre or tone color by using different mutes that we insert into the bell. So I'd like to go over the different types of mutes and demonstrate each of them for you. There are literally hundreds of different kinds of mutes, but we're going to go over the basic categories of mutes now. So our very first mute is the straight mute, and this is made out of metal. Very, very basic mute. Whenever you see in your music it says straight mute, this is most often what you're going to use. You can tell it kind of has a nasal and almost a buzzy type of a sound to it. In that same category of straight mute is a fiber straight mute. Instead of being made out of metal, this is made out of fiber. And this particular fiber is very similar to a thick cardboard with a wooden bottom to it. And so this is going to have a little bit of a different sound. Now I played them both exactly the same, and you can tell that the fiber straight mute has a little bit of a softer sound to it. So this is good for like lyrical solos. Our next type of mute is the cup mute. You can tell here it looks very similar to the straight mute, except it has this cup on the bottom of it. So let's hear what that sounds like. It sort of is a muffled or a distant sound, and many cup mutes have an adjustable cup, so you can close that cup closer to the bell or farther away to make it louder or softer. So a very versatile mute, the cup mute. Next we have the Harmon mute, and so this is also made out of metal, but here on the bottom we have a stem. So sometimes we play this with the stem out. So the music will say Harmon mute with stem out. If you listen to a lot of Miles Davis, he likes to use the Harmon mute a lot with the stem out. Now if we put that stem in, the tone color completely changes. It almost sounds like a toy trumpet. And we can also do a wah-wah effect by covering this bottom part of the stem. So a lot of jazz players will use this wah-wah effect with the Harmon mute. Another way we can produce the wah-wah effect is by using a sync plunger. And this is just a traditional sync plunger, and all I've done here is cut a hole through the top of the plunger where the stem would go. And that allows a little bit of sound to get out, so we're not completely covering the bell when we use this. So obviously it's a lot louder than that wah-wah on the Harmon mute, but it does produce that wah-wah effect. Our last mute is a practice mute, and this is rarely, if ever, used in performance because it's so quiet. And it looks very similar to a straight mute, kind of a long, skinny straight mute, but it almost completely dampens the sound. I play that exactly as loud as I've played all of the other mutes, and you can barely hear it. This is excellent for use on the road when you're in a hotel room, or if you're staying with a friend and you don't want to keep them awake or wake them up early in the morning. This is excellent to use to practice very quietly, especially when you're not in your own home. However, I do not recommend using a practice mute on a daily basis unless that is your absolutely only option. So we want to use this very rarely when we're on the road traveling and we just need to do a quick warm-up. But very, very practical mute to have in your arsenal, especially before performances if you don't want to disturb anybody else. So there are several different types of mutes you can use to alter the timbre or tone on your trumpet. So have fun experimenting with all of them.